Well, welcome back to Owning the Goal. I'm Brian McFarland, and today I'm joined by Bob Burg, speaker, mentor, and co author of the Go Giver series, including The Go Giver, The Go Giver Leader, Go Givers Sell More, and The Go Giver Influencer. I have two of them right here. My girlfriend has borrowed the other, and I've got the fourth one on the way. The Go Giver itself has sold close to 1.5 million copies. Bob has also authored Endless Referrals and Adversaries into Allies. He's got an incredible website with resources, a certified speaker program, daily email platform, all of this that just provides us with value each and every day. Bob's work has inspired a movement around generosity in business, and through his Go Giver Success Alliance and platforms, he continues to help entrepreneurs and leaders grow by giving. Today, we're going to go straight to the heart of it. What does it really mean to be a go giver, and how can you apply the 5 laws of stratospheric success to your own life and work? And before I hand the mic over to Bob, I got to read this quote as I've been doing my homework on this incredible man that sits across from me. You know you are going to experience something different and life-changing from the first moment you hear Bob Burg. Simply put, he not only gets what really matters in relationships between people, but he knows how to share that knowledge with an audience in a way that is both informative, entertaining, and soul-searching. You don't come away from time with Bob without having your life changed for the better. That was by Steve Murray, editor of Real Trends and president of Real Trends Consulting. Well, Bob, as I welcomed to you to the show, from the page 1 of the Go Givers, you have changed my life. So I want to say thank you.
Wow. Well, that's very kind of you, Brian, and that means a lot to me. And thank you for reading that part of Steve's quote. That was very nice of Steve. So it just, all I can say is it means a lot to me, and I just feel fantastic about hearing something like that.
Well, you deserve it. You deserve it. So enough of my yapping. My audience wants to hear from you. So let's just dive right in. Let's start with this core idea, right? The Go Giver is not just a title, it's a mindset. So take us away in your words. What does it really mean to be a Go Giver?
Well, when John David Mann, my awesome co-author, when we use the term go giver, we're really talking about that person who has learned or perhaps always intuitively knew that shifting your focus, and this is really where it all begins, shifting your focus from getting to giving. Now, when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others. Understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well. And not for any kind of way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical type of reasons. Oh, just give and good things will. No, not at all. It's really a lot more logical and rational than that. It's simply when you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and instead place it on serving others, discovering their needs, their wants, their desires, when making it not about you, but rather about understanding and helping them solve and overcome their problems and challenges. When you make it not about you, but rather moving another person closer to happiness, people feel good about you. They feel great about you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to be part of your life. They want to do business with you. And really, they want to tell the world about you. They want to be what we call your personal walking ambassadors. So that is accomplished through the 5 laws of success that John and I share in the book.
Oh, that's great. So pivoting right into that, because that is the core, right? So this is the most powerful framework for your work, is this 5 laws of stratospheric success. So can you walk the listeners, those who haven't read The Go Giver, but I know will be running to the bookstore to buy one after that, and what makes them so transformative?
Oh, thank you. And of course, it's a business parable, so it's a short story, and we utilize the 5 laws or 5 principles, if you will, just to to help navigate through how the how to regarding how it's done. So the five laws themselves are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The first one, the law of value, says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, this sounds rather counterintuitive when you first hear it because, give more in value than I take in payment. I mean, that sounds all nicey nice and everything, but it also sounds like a recipe for bankruptcy, right? Give more in value than you take in payment. So we simply have to understand the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another person that they will willingly exchange their money for it and be glad they did, while you also make a very healthy profit. A very simple example I often use is the accountant who you retain to do your taxes, and she charges you just around figure $1,000 to do your taxes. That's her fee, literally her price. But what value does she give you in exchange that makes it so worthwhile? Well, she saves you $5,000 in taxes. She saves you tons of time, right? Number of hours of time, right? And also she provides you with the security and the peace of mind of knowing it was done correctly. So really, when you think about it, she gave you well over $5,000 in value in exchange for $1,000 fee or price. She gave you more in value than she took in payment. So you feel great about it. You got more than what you paid for, but she also feels great. She also profited because it was worth it to her to exchange her time, her energy, her knowledge, her wisdom, and so forth for this $1,000. So both parties come. In fact, in any free market based exchange, and when I say free market, I simply mean no one's forced to do business with anyone else. In any exchange of this type, there should always be two profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them came away better off afterwards than they were beforehand. And that's the essence of law one. Law number two, the law of compensation, says your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So where law number one says to give more in value than you take in payment, law number two tells us that the more people whose lives we touch with the exceptional value we provide, the more money with which we'll be rewarded. Your accountant in the first example did a great job of giving you more in value than she took in payment. So chances are you're really happy with her. You'd use her again, and you'd probably tell a whole lot of other people about her. Well, her other clients feel the same way. So our accountant is very quickly amassing that army of personal walking ambassadors. And as she continues to add that kind of exceptional value to the lives of more and more people, her income will continue to grow and grow. We could say, if you take the first two laws, exceptional value plus significant reach equals very high compensation. Law number three is the law of influence. This says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Again, this sounds, counterintuitive, perhaps counterproductive, right? And yet, the greatest leaders, top influencers, most successful, top producing, money earning people, this is simply how they run their lives and conduct their businesses. They're always looking out for the interests of the other person. Now, let me, if I may, clarify and qualify this a bit. When we say place the other person's interests first, we don't mean you should be anyone's doormat or a martyr or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not at all. It's simply understanding, as Joe, the protege in the story, learned from several of the mentors, the golden rule of business, of sales, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you and others than by genuinely moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, looking to, as Sam, one of the mentors, Advised Joe, make your win all about the other person's win. Law number 4, the law of authenticity, says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. In this part, the mentor, Deborah Davenport, shared a very important lesson she learned, and that is all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, people skills, as important as they are, and they are indeed very, very important, they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do, when you show up as yourself day after day, week after week, month after month, people not only feel good about you, they feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you. And why wouldn't they? They know who they're getting. And that is so very important when it comes to trust. Now, if I may say one thing about this, I believe that the concept of authenticity, as overused as it is, has also been sort of hijacked in today's day of social media. It's almost become equivalent with no boundaries. Just, say or do or insult or whatever it is you want to do, it's okay because it's authentic. And I disagree with that. It would sort of be like the person who says, "Well, I have anger issues and I yell at people a lot, and if I were to act any differently, that wouldn't be authentic of me." And no, that's really kind of, I think, a bunch of baloney. It simply means that person has an authentic problem. The Yeah, that they need to work on in order to become a better, higher, more effective version of their authentic selves. So we never want the term authenticity to be misconstrued, as being not working on yourself, right, or trying to improve. My personal definition of authenticity is simply acting congruently with your values. And I think when you do that, you're authentic and you're always going to be on the right track. Law number 5 is the law of receptivity. And this simply says that the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Well, what does this mean? Really, just that it's understanding that, sure, you breathe out, you also have to breathe in, right? It's not one or the other. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe in oxygen. You breathe out, um, which is giving, you breathe in, which is receiving. Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts. Giving and receiving are simply two sides of the very same coin, and they operate in tandem. The key, or the challenge, I should say, is that from the world around us, we receive so many anti-prosperity messages that it can really get into a person's head. And, they end up sort of sabotaging their own success a lot of times without even knowing why. And it's never conscious. It's always unconscious. But that's why I'm really a big believer in because there's so much anti-prosperity garbage that comes in from all over. We get it every day. And whether it's a matter of upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, television shows, movies, popular culture, cultural mores, it's always coming at us. And so because it is, we need to be able to consciously put the good stuff into our heads. And so I'm a big believer in making a study, a conscious study of prosperity. So, look up people at there's some great prosperity authorities out there who speak and write and blog and do video, the whole thing. People like Randy Gage, people like Sharon Lecter, people like Ken Honda, the late Bob Proctor, Lisa Peterson, Ellen Rogan, David Nagel. I mean, just so many fantastic. We covered it on a surface level, right? In the Go Giver, in the story, but really, there's only so much you can go into there. These are people who this is their focus, and so I subscribe to these people's blogs and I watch their videos because all of us, we need to get that good pro prosperity, pro abundance information into our heads and into our hearts.
Yeah, was so well said. And you're such a you're such a student of the industry, and the spirit, and I see the amount of posting and content that you put up each and every day.
Oh, thank you.
So you keep getting it out there. Um, so yeah, I strongly encourage you. I have the laws printed right here. They sit on the side of my computer, and I
Thanks.
know I'm doing a good job by my both my clients and people in my personal life, of course, everyone, because we're all humans if I'm thinking of those. So towards the end, and you and I chatted a little bit about this yesterday. So and you filled my heart with joy when you said, what is the purpose? The purpose of life is to live in happiness. And there's naysayers out there, and will say what they want. Um, and you said that some of the most successful people are both go givers and go getters, and there's sometimes gets confused. So can you unpack what that balance is, so that we can stay rooted to the core?
Yeah, and first, when we say, the purpose of life is to be happy, and people might look at, what are you saying? You should just do anything you want and just no, we're not talking about being happy, first of all, at other people's expenses. We're also not at other people's expense. We're also not talking about confusing happiness with pleasure, which sometimes they are the same, but not necessarily, not usually. Um, would you really be happier having that piece of chocolate cake if you're trying to lose 10 pounds? You may get some instant pleasure by doing that, but it's not going to lead you to happiness if, as a high value, you hold dropping 10 pounds. So, you know what I'm saying? So happiness, in a sense, is really living, just like authenticity is acting congruently with your values. Happiness is my definition of happiness is simply a genuine and ongoing feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. So if you know your values, okay, which a lot of people don't, because it might be what other people think their value should be, right? Or what they, right? But if someone really understands their core value system, um, and they live according to those, congruently with those, they're going to be happy. So when we talk about happiness being the goal, that's what I'm talking about. If I'll stop there, but that's basically. So yeah, we're talking about go getters and go givers. Yeah, because a lot of times, people think, well, the opposite of a go giver is obviously a go getter, but no, actually, a go getter and go giver are complementary. What do I mean by that? Well, if you define a go getter as someone who takes action, it's a fantastic thing, right? You can have the best ideas, greatest thoughts, best of intent, but unless action's put into the mix, nothing's going to happen. It simply cannot happen. So, no, we love go getters. Now, when you combine being a go getter, a person of action, with a go giver, someone who's absolutely, totally laser focused on adding immense value to others, that's a powerful combination. So we say be a go getter and a go giver, just don't be a go taker. That's that person who feels almost entitled, if you will, to take without having added value to the person, to the process, to the situation. And most go takers um, are are frustrated because they tend to not be nearly as successful as they believe they should be. And even when they are, it's typically very difficult to sustain, because you've really got no one on your side, right? So you're having to just, repeat the same. Now, there's some people who do it. It's a big world. There's, lots of ways to, and there's people who make a lot of money and are sustainably successful being a go taker. Okay. But boy, is it difficult. And it's not, it tends to not be fulfilling. And with go takers, their personal relationships tend to be a mess. And again, for obvious reasons. So yeah, we would suggest being a go getter, a person of action, and a go giver, someone who's focused on providing value to others.
That's so beautiful. The world would be a better place if everybody just lived by these creeds, right? It seems
Oh,
pretty
thank you.
simple. It seems pretty simple. It
It is
seems pretty
simple.
simple. Well, Bob, I could talk to you for 2 days. You know that, and I'm going to try and
Likewise.
get you on the show more and more and more, and engage with you. But like as we try and wrap up every episode of Owning the Goal, providing our listeners with value, and they've been exposed to you, so they've automatically got value. What's something besides buying your books and really sort of subscribing to the philosophy? What's something they can do right now, today? They finish their walk. They're listening to us talk. What can they do right after hearing this episode that's going to bring value to their life?
Well, I mean, I think in a sense it's just applying what you've heard. So you ask yourself, is how can I make another person's life better? How can I add value to that person? Now, here's the tricky thing. Remember when we talked about value earlier, being in value being in the eyes of the beholder, right? Because it's what's of value to them. So we can't assume that what we believe is of value is necessarily what another person believes to be of value, right? So that's why we need to be interested in the other person. We need to ask questions and we need to listen. And we do it non-judgmentally, but in a way that we really want to learn. Understanding that our beliefs aren't necessarily their beliefs. And when we do that, now we place ourselves in a position to be able to bring value to their lives.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And by the way, I
Well,
want to thank you. You did a wonderful video a couple of weeks ago where you did a kind of a review of of John David Mann's and my book, and I thought you did a spectacular job. Thank you so much.
thank you. That was that means a lot coming from you, and and it was obviously from the heart, truly, because that book really impacted me. And I'm
Thank
going
you.
to be, as a thanks to you, I'm going to be having a conversation with John and his lovely
Oh,
wife about the
John
Go
Yara.
Giver marriage.
Good, good. I'm so
Uh,
glad. You're going to love them. They're a
in
fantastic
Ja-
couple.
in January, yeah, I gave my girlfriend the Go Giver marriage, which I've also said that it could be the Go Giver soulmate partnership, because you don't have to be married, right? That's one of the questions they do.
Right.
So our world's just spreading. So, Bob, I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing
Oh,
all this incredible power
my
with
absolute
us.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. And for our listeners, if you are ready, and I know you are, to grow your impact, start by giving more than you expect to receive. Lead with authenticity. Stay open and remember that being a go-getter is great, but being a go-giver is how you build something that lasts. I am Brian McFarland, and this has been Owning the Goal. Until next time, keep owning your goals, providing value, showing up with purpose, and remember what you learn about yourself along your journey. Thanks so much again, Bob.